Hey guys, and welcome back in this new episode. In this series, we are following me building SiteTracker.io, and it is the idea that we launch an MVP in the end of January. So we have kind of a whole month to go. In this episode, I want to share the progress I did in the past few days. I think it's 2 days since the last video. And let's dive in. I have a little checklist here that I want to go through. Yeah, the first thing that I did was updating the triggers. So now we already could create triggers. But what we now can do is add a new event. And we can say unlimited calls or how many times this trigger event can be called total per session or per click event. And then we create it, and we can also say the order. So it also updates the counter. So this is something I've created yesterday, I believe. Yeah, yesterday. And also you can now update the trigger here. You can update the name, and you can also delete these events or update them. You can change them. You say maximum calls, or you say no, this one can be deleted. The idea is that you per event at one point, but that's not necessarily for the MVP yet so important, but at one point you can add delays in between. So then a trigger is called and it goes one by one, and for example it has to wait a few seconds and then it gives a callback on something. That's why I already added this sorting, but that's for now not so important yet, but it will trigger each event or execute each event in this order. And what did I do? More than that, so also what I did was I changed this little menu a little bit. I gave each organization in the database I can show that, a unique ID that is now, so in Django you have this thing that you can pre-save with a signal. You can pre-save a value, so we have a unique ID here, and if it's empty, it creates a random string and it has to be unique. So in this case, if we leave this empty, it just adds a new value. But that's, I know from experience, it's handy to give each user a unique ID, also to refer to in customer support, etc. So that's why it's already there. And I have this settings page right now. Ugly but functional, I would say. As ugly as, it's good enough for me now. But I can change my organization name. So now it's test owners. And we can also change our username, for example. And if we want, I don't do that yet, but we can also update our password here. So that's basic stuff that can be done now. API keys we already had. I have to find a way how to show only half, with a blur or something, but that's for later. And then we have a billing page. For now we only added this, already anticipating on Stripe, of course, but we have a billing app in Django, and I've created a billing information model, which has a foreign key to the organization. And this is some basic stuff that I want to know from experience. For Stripe, it's handy to have this. And is Europe just because of the VAT tax. So we do like a European VAT check with an API call to see if it's a legit VAT number. And then this is an important check. But that's more from experience of my last application that I know that I have to edit this here. And also we made a few just choose plan. It's nothing yet, but that's here, upgrade now, and we can do a plan here, all the plans that we have. I don't know yet which, what, how, but then also this information will be represented in a setting. So in billing we might do like tabs over horizontal or all below each other to start with. It doesn't really matter, but that you can change your plan, update your credit card, information, etc. But that will all be stored here. So this is already nice to have. What I also did, so we have our trigger event. So let's say click events in this case. We have now let's check this one. We have an attribute test. The key is test. The value is 1, 2, 3. And what I was working on just now, that I left it kind of in the middle to record this video, but we store click events like this. It's not represented very beautiful yet. That's also something to work on. But if I would remove this tracker, so we have nothing, then we go to this page. It's a test website, and we load some stuff. So I fetch all the click events in a local storage. Too much Python. So I think like this, and then we see already parameter click events. Got it. The value 1, 2, 3. href, and that's this one that it got there because it's a href 1, 2, 3. It fetches it from the account, and then also it has a attribute, and then you see that one here. So on this element now, all these elements have something, but this one has a test and a test too. That's the one I was testing if it can have multiple click events. If you click, then you have multiple triggers to go for. I don't know why you would do this, but it's good to have. You never know how people start using it, but. And then we have this div with a test attribute and a test ID, but the test is something that exists. So for example, we start clicking on this. Now it says match found, and it gives something back. Then this session will exist again because it's based on a cookie for now. Now we created a random name called flower, but that's me. And here you see now a click event is stored. So it says, by the way, click 2 times, which is, I would say, a bug. But yeah, that's something I will dive into later. And let's see. No, it's called 2 times because there are 2 events, I would say. And both are max called 1. Yeah, okay, this interesting. This makes sense, I would say. And now it doesn't call it again. See, so it is called twice. Yeah, so I'm really figuring out like how is this used. That's something I'm really stuck in because now this parameter also works. We have this one, now also is a click event, and I'm sure it does something. I see. So and also click twice. Oh yeah, of course. The same trigger is called in this event. So we have 2. Both have the trigger testing, and testing is has 2 events, so they're both called. And you could say the trigger is called once, but we are now representing each event. So see trigger action email click twice. But this is interesting because it's not click twice, triggered. So this is interesting. This is something to think about and how to represent this. Because the clicked we use to give it a cap. If we say this emo is only used once, for example, then so I would say each click event should be registered within the trigger. So this whole dictionary should be different. This should be like trigger action, for example, session, ID, whatever, and then we create a dictionary within this that says like trigger 1, trigger 2, and then you store the details for 1 and for 2, even if they're the same. But yeah, that's something I really have to put some brain, some thought in. Another thing that's really bugging me, I would say, we have this, let's see, this one. So then I have to log out here. And what we do, So go back to this test website. Yeah. We have this this way of storing variables, and I think it even works like this. And we now got rid of this logic, but what it should do is, if you say keep, for example, cross-domain, it should keep the session ID of this user, which is handy because then cross-domain you can grab that session ID, and with an API you can store some data here, like, hey, this is this user and he got converted, for example. Yeah, let's click on it and see what happens. See, now it does nothing, but if I go to stockpilot.com, where we already use this logic, see, it gives you a click event hashtag. The big question now is how to use this logic combined with these triggers, and is that even needed, or what are the steps within the JavaScript file? That's a big one I leave today with. I will think about tonight, tomorrow. But this is the old logic, and that's like process button event, and I have to combine it with my new logic, which is handle batch click events. There are two functions. Oh yeah, three. So first we check each click. If it's href, we do the href click event, otherwise the attributes. And here we store it, or we get it from the local storage for now. I had a Windows save first, but this is a bit more solid. And then we go through all the parameters, and then if we have a match, we do the handle batch click event. That one goes to an endpoint where we say if it's an email, send that email. If it's So that's kind of what we do there. Yeah, and I have to incorporate this new logic, this new way with the old way, and this one had a really cool thing of storing session IDs. Like, let's see, here you see this. If the button event is a session ID, then replace it with the real session ID with the hash value you just saw. We also had another idea of set. Set makes sets a cookie and stores it to a local storage. So this stuff incorporated is really a thing, and also how to communicate that to the users, of course. But yeah, that's in a later video. I'll tell you what I came up with. Let me see. Yeah, another thing I did today is, and yesterday, it's not very nice to my eyes. I'm not a very good illustrator, but I try to tell the story visually to get something done. So this is our landing page. Yeah, we try to do, I add some copy, I know that something will be here. We had some fake image here, but now I had Canva, the application, and was just outlining what we do, what are we doing. So my idea is that we have a DOM event or URL monitoring. There are the two main things we're doing right now. Then you have a click event or monitor check. The checks are just the cron jobs that you can set up. Yeah, so someone clicked this button. That's just what we saw right now that I just show you. And if the button is clicked, for example, you can add it to a lead list, and then you can create a list here, and you call it new leads. And it comes from, yeah, instead of tracking, we might call this click event, but it comes from a click event and stores all the new leads, for example. That's this one. We add it to a list. But it could also be an email sent, and that's the one we just did. We sent the emails, because if I go here to my mailbox, you see blah blah blah. All these emails are sent just because of the testing we just did. Then we have another one. That's the domain checker. That is, we have a domain, for example, tester. The domain, and I showed you this of course before, and we check every day if the page is still live or HTML value exists. And that's the one that does this one. If it not exists, if it not works out, boom, do the trigger, which could be a notification sent, etc. So those are the main two features that I want to sell in the beginning of this application. And it's very more comprehensive because it has an API documentation, and it really dares the user for some creativity of usage, because you can do many things in between these lines. So what I did is, what I know I want is, is this outline. I want a case studies. I have already first customer that wants to use this, and he has a e-commerce store. I also know someone with a affiliate structure that I want to implement for him, and if he likes it, he starts paying. But that's a case I want to show here. And we have the SaaS case, which is myself. I have my own case here, which I also will add here as a case study, the Stockpilot case. So then those cases I will show, so we can tell people how to use this application, how to use these features. Also resources, I changed that. It was documentation before, I believe, but I also want to create tutorials, section tutorials where you have like videos of me explaining little setups and how to use the API, etc. And we have a knowledge base, which is now a sidetracker.io thing, but how I did it with Stockpilot, my other SaaS application, is Help Docs, which is a very cool application. I don't find them very cheap, I would say, but per month. But it's really comprehensive. You can create articles, and so this at one point will be something I will use probably if I have some users, if I can spend some money. But in the beginning I will just add it all on a WordPress page. I added this to the features to the footer. We need more SEO, of course. These pages will exist at one point, and this as well, I guess. So that I leave that there. On the home page, I think just add all the features here, and the use case is just an excerpt of every page. That I will do later. And this I also changed. Every page gets a call to action. Super ugly, but it works. So that's more important for me now than the beauty. And every page is a little bit more explained, and then you see these very ugly graphics again. But I always think, like, if I can tell my story visually, even if it's not so beautiful, I have to work on this, of course, to get it better. But at one point it will make sense. And then also when I hire someone to make the designs, I can just give this to him or her and they pick it up. But for now it's low budget, it's without money, so we do everything ourselves. And this page also has to be there later. So yeah, that's something I really worked on get some progress in, which is nice to see. It gives more of a product feeling. I'm looking, but that's it for me. This is the work I did the past days. I'm happy with the progress I'm making. I'm also still liking to share all the progress. I'm already planning another MVP I want to release right after this one. There's another idea I have for 2 years now, and I've worked on already, but to launch it is always a bit next step. So and I'm learning a lot. I really learned to be more efficient, because my previous SaaS, which makes revenue, but I worked on for too long before I released it to the public. So this is really a good practice. I hope you like this. If you have any questions or any feedback, let me know. And if you like it, also don't forget to subscribe and like this video. And stay in touch, and see you in the next one. Cheers.